Hello, FlimsyLunchTray here, and we are back with another video. Last week, I think it was last week, maybe it was 2 weeks ago, I don't remember now. I did a video on my best performing ships in World of Warships. Today I'm doing my worst performing ships in World of Warships, particularly in terms of win rate. And so I'm using the same filters I used last time. I decided that the minimum requirement should at least be 20 battles. So of course, if I dropped this number of minimum battles down more, there would be, I think Omaha appears on the list, and then the Frederick the Grosse, and then Colbert were three of the ships I noted. And I don't think I'm gonna ever do improving on the FDG, because that's just a bit of a struggle at tier 9 battleship in my opinion. But we're gonna be using the filter of 15 ships. That's what I covered last week, my best performing 15 ships in World of Warships. Today we're looking at my worst 15 performing ships in World of Warships. And I think this video will be a little bit shorter, that I kind of have a framework and mindset to jump off of. So this is to understand your weaknesses. So this is understanding my weaknesses with these ships that we're going to be looking at, and maybe I can talk through more about how to improve them. Of course, when we get down further, then we're getting above 50%, but I'll still talk about the ships, might just not be as much as length. But of course, we look at these top ships, and Marceau. It's the tier 10 premium French destroyer. It's actually one of my favorite destroyers to play in co-op. And before you start snazzing and going off like, oh, that's why this ship is your worst performing ship, it's not. Marceau is a very easy ship to yellow for combat missions and different things like that in co-op, get them knocked out of the way, or wiping out entire flanks of bots. So, Marceau, this is a gunboat destroyer. Granted, you have 3, 6, 9, 12 torpedoes in total. So there's 4 racks. They have a 9-kilometer torpedo range. Your concealment, if you go for max conceal, if I remember correctly, it's 7-kilometer concealment. So you're a French destroyer with good French armor that the destroyers get. It's similar to the Colbert, but there's differences between Marceau and Colbert. But I have a 43.48% run rate in Marceau. But you see the personal rating is actually Unicum level. The damage we do is above average. And then destroying enemy ships is Unicum level. Planes destroyed is above average. So we're seeing some good things in terms of the other statistics here. Because when you look at this, you know, if these numbers are also bad across the board, then I would be like, okay, I just don't understand this ship. I need to spend more time with it. But we had 23 battles in it. And I haven't played Marceau, I think, this year at all in randoms. Maybe once. And the build I have set up for it is more oriented towards taking on, wiping out enemy destroyers, because I don't do a range build with Marceau. And honestly, I mean, I'm not so playing Marceau with a range build. So let's say you're getting up to the 13 kilometers and above gun range. It's really great, at least with the ship, in terms of if you just want to farm cruisers and battleships. I mean, there's nothing that can be so more frustrating than a Marceau. Just using the French speed boost and just throwing a lot of shells, making it super difficult for you to even hit them because of the speed and juking and all that. But also they can be pretty deadly if they decide to yellow you. But you can see that just in terms of run rate, it's not so good. And I need to revisit this ship. Maybe I'll do a video in the next upcoming weeks, just revisiting Marceau and working to improve the run rate of Marceau. Because I know I can do better. Especially since I'm almost a 63% win rate player in randoms in general. Different for solo. I think solo I'm beneath 60%, like 59, 58. I don't even remember now. So this needs improvements. So probably when I look at this, what I'm thinking is I may be playing too aggressive. Although my damage numbers are okay, my kills are okay. But maybe I need to be, I'm playing a little too aggressive, and I need to work on my positioning. And I'm going to say maybe it's those two things. It's been a while since I've played Marcel in random, so it's hard for me to say what exactly it is resulting in this. It could just be that I'm getting super lucky with RNG and getting maybe not the best of teams. But Marcel is a very capable ship, and I don't believe that if Marcel's in the capable player's hands, it should be doing better than a 43% run rate. So there's something I'm doing wrong with the ship that I need to figure out. So I'm going to probably chalk it up. Maybe I'm playing too aggressive in I'm being, my positioning is poor with this. So yeah, so we're just going to have to look into that. So maybe my non-range build is actually not favoring me with the Marcel. Maybe I would actually favor more if I went for the range build. So there's some influence I've seen from some person who does play Marcel really well, and he doesn't go for the range build, but kind of plays it more on knocking out enemy destroyers because your DPM is just really good with those 8 guns when you do get in fights with Marcel. So that's kind of what I'm more going for. So I don't know, maybe I'm just, that doesn't work in my hands at all. Mahan, tier 7 tech tree American destroyer, 58 battles, 44.83% run rate. We have below average, or maybe no, this is just average personal rating. Our damage is above. Was this above average? I don't remember what the color coding scheme means. Do they have that even on here? Oh, it's great. Yeah, great. And then green is above average. Okay, cool. I was forgetting that. So Mahan, yeah, so we have great damage, 28,000. That could be better, I think, for me. Kills, we're not doing so hot with kills. We're just average with kills, 0.84. Planes destroyed, not too many. And this was the first line I grinded. First destroyer line I grinded when I started playing World of Warships. I went up and I got Gearing was my first tier 10 destroyer. And I had to play a lot of battles with Mahan. And there's this transition once you start hitting tier 7 where you're experiencing a lot more radar in the game. You can't play it the same way as the tier 6 Farragut. You don't see as much for radar at tier 6. Tier 7 you're going to for sure, especially if you get bottom tiered versus tier 9s. And so I'm going to chalk this up as one, I was adjusting to playing at a higher tier, going from the mid tier towards the high tier, especially when you start seeing more radars, and that definitely impacts your destroyer game. And so that, and then secondly, inexperience as a player when I grinded this line. There's total noob when I grinded this line, and so that's reflected in these numbers. So I'll probably try to work on improving the run rate of this ship because I understand it better now. So I wouldn't mind revisiting this ship. Number 3 on the list is the Ulster-Outland. It's the tier 9 European destroyer. I have 33 battles with it and better run rate. It's not, these are bad. This is below average, 48.48% with a 1,595 personal rating. So that's above average. We have great average damage per game. We have above average kills and above average planes destroyed. Ulster-Outland honestly was a little bit of a funky ship for me to figure out. I do better in Holland than the Ulster-Outland. And I'm not entirely sure, because when I popped up on here, I was like, oh, that's interesting. Ulster-Outland's only a 48% run rate. I need to spend more time with this ship. I know one of the things that these ships do really well is also kiting, because you don't have the greatest of range, so you're mostly getting into these gunfights with enemy destroyers. And using your fast torpedoes that don't do a lot of damage to deal with targets. So I think now that I've played more time with the Holland, I probably need to revisit Ulster-Outland and see if I can actually improve this a bit. So yeah, so we're gonna have to talk about this a little bit more as we go down. But it's definitely a different type of destroyer line compared to American destroyer, British destroyers, Japanese destroyers. They definitely have their own thing going on, especially when you don't have smoke screens with these, so you can't disengage when you need to. Or go dark if something comes up. So you have to pick your fights a little more wisely with the European destroyer line. So that's probably one of the things I'm going to say contributes to this. Moskva, I quite enjoy Moskva. Tier 10 Kol Russian heavy cruiser. I've had 37 battles on it and 48.65% run rate, so this is below average. My personal rating is great. My damage is great. My destructions, destroying enemy ships, is above average. And then the amount of planes I kill is great. However, in terms of run rates, I'm poor. So these numbers tell me that I'm on the right track with this ship. Probably need to be examining my position maybe a little bit more here with Moskva. I mean, she's a tank. Although she has very poor concealment. I learned very quickly with Moskva, as well as Stalingrad, but especially Moskva, is that because of your concealment so poor, early positioning is very important. I've cut a lot of Moskvas out broadside, and I think I've even commented on this before when I've featured the Moskva, that you got to pay attention because you can't move up closer to an island or an objective that you want to cover and then kind of angle or show more broadside to get to the final destination. You actually want to kind of more in the back of the map when you spawn, go ahead and immediately turn to whatever flank you're wanting to go. And then when you get ready to go towards that position, you want to be more bow or angled into that closing position on your final objective. Otherwise, you're going to pay because you have a large turning circle radius. So if you disengage, you're very likely to get slapped or death struck. So positioning early on is really important in Moskva, and I learned that the hard way. So I think that's actually part of why this number is below average. So again, something I need to revisit. Number 5, Harugumo, tier 10 Japanese gunboat destroyer, but she's a hybrid. She's a hybrid destroyer that leans towards gunboat. I mean, she has decent concealment. I think it's 6.2 kilometers, but she has 1 rack of torps. But she has 10 100mm guns that just cause havoc and are really fun to play. So this is from 24 battles. I have a 50% run rate in this ship. So that means I've won 12, I've lost 12. Our personal rating is Super Unicum with the Harugumo. I've even played it a couple times in clan battles. My average damage is Unicum, 90,000. My destructions are, I can't tell if that's just, I think it's just Unicum, 1.58. Planes destroyed is also Unicum level with Harugumo, and I think I had a battle not too long ago where I had a CV hardcore focusing me, so I think that's boosted that number with just only the 24 battles. So again, I look at these numbers, I mean, this is Unicum level stats. So it means we're doing well with this ship. I would say just needing more time. You have a very poor rudder shift time with Harugumo. You're very, kind of a very clunky, that's not the word I want to go, clumsy tier 10 destroyer. So you smoke up and you unleash your Daka. I think I have a 15 kilometer plus gun range built in Harugumo. And you like sitting in smoke screens and farming, but smoke screens are torpedo magnets. So I've been taken out, unfortunately, a couple of times when I didn't know there was actually a destroyer in the area, or if there is a destroyer in the area, I try to angle to where that destroyer is, presenting a smallest profile as possible. But it looks like there's some more work to do with this. But I would say we're on the right track in terms of what we're seeing here. So I think I just need to, I feel comfortable with what I'm doing because of this. So I just need to work on making more of those game-changing plays to tip this number more in my favor. Number 6 is a CV Ranger, American Tier 6 Tech Tree aircraft carrier after the Langley Tier 4. 62 battles, 50% win rating. This is really the only CV I've ever played in randoms. I'm not a CV player, and I've actually worked on improving this win rate, because before I think I was a 47%, and so this ship pretty much represents my randoms win rate in aircraft carriers. I didn't like that number was so low. Actually, we can probably hop up here, and I can show you. It's still below average, 48.1%, but it used to be, I think, bad. And so I was working on displaying tier 6 CVs. I understand what CVs are supposed to do, so on and so forth, but we're not there yet. You see our personal rating is great, or not great, it's above average. Our average damage is great. Destructions is above average, and planes destroyed is great. So there's some good things we're doing here, but in terms of having game impacting plays in Ranger, that's not happening. So this is something I just need to spend more time on. And I've been playing more CVs and Ops just to get somewhat of a feel for them more, because I know that I don't play the CV class best in randoms. So I'd rather take a ship that I feel that I can do better in and support my team. Number 7 is Gneisenau, a tech tree German battleship, tier 7. 24 battles, 50% run rate. Gneisenau is Gneisenau. There's many memes upon this ship. Particularly has a very noteworthy story or highlights from Jingles, the Mighty Jingles. We can see personal rating is great. Average damage is Unicum level. Average destructions frags is above average, and then planes destroyed is great. So there's really some good things happening here. About 24 battles, that means we've won 12, lost 12. But yeah, the run rate not so hot. So it looks like we're doing a good job in terms of our damage. It looks like this could probably be more of those game-changing plays. Gneisenau, you only have, I hope I get this right in my head. I'll just look it up before I say it out loud. The guns are wildly inaccurate, and they leave you wanting more. And you're just like, what is happening? What is happening with these guns? So yeah, so I'll make sure I look at this right here as I pull up the stats on this ship. You're not telling me what I need to know still. So they're 380mm guns, and what I'm questioning in my head right now that I feel is wrong, or could be wrong. 15-inch guns, same as the ones on Bismarck and Tirpitz, is I think you only get 6 guns on Gneisenau. And it's right here, I'm about to see it. Yeah, 3x2. You reload time stock at 26 seconds. So this is a secondary battleship. You do have torpedoes. I think there's 6 kilometer torpedoes. So she's a brawler. Her guns do not favor you at all when you play even medium range. If I say, in my opinion, 12 kilometers and above, you can just completely car wash broadside cruisers at 12 kilometers with these guns. So they don't really behave until you get 9 kilometers and under, question mark. So it's brawling. It's harder to do brawling in World of Warships, especially if you're tier 7 versus tier 9 ships. Gneisenau does not play bottom tier well at all. Number 8, Vasteras, tier 6, European destroyer, 20 battles, 50% run rate, 1,386 personal rating, so above average. Average damage, above average for 25,936. Average frags, above average. Planes destroyed, above average. So there's still some more things we need to do here. So you can see when we look at Vasteras, we look at Elsterotland, there's some things we're still figuring out with this line that we need to improve upon. So it is quite different than a lot of the other destroyer lines I've played. So we need to revisit that more. North Carolina, tier 8 American battleship tech tree, 37 battles played, 54% run rate. And then we have great personal rating, great average damage, above average frags, and Unicum stats in terms of planes destroyed in these 37 battles. So you can see now we're actually getting into, these are good win rates, but for the purpose of this video, I'm still going to talk about it a bit. North Carolina, I think, is a really well-balanced tier 8 battleship. She has decent armor, she's got decent guns, decent AA, and so there's a lot of things I feel very comfortable on this ship, because the American battleship line was the first line that I grinded in the game. And so there's a lot of good things about the North Carolina, in my opinion, even good range you can build and invest in. So I quite like this ship. So I don't know how much I have to say in terms of when I'm looking at this, because the win rate in that is good. Yugumo, tier 9 Japanese torpedo destroyer. This ship actually has, I want to see my damage. What was the damage rating? I have a list. I think I wrote it down here. Maybe it's not on this list. Yeah, 5.14 destruction ratio. So we actually do quite decent with this ship. 54% run rates. We have great personal rating, great average damage, above average frags. Planes destroyed is below average. I mean, you don't play Yugumo for AA, so kind of expected. So I grind this line periodically. I use it as my Shimakaze line as the research bureau line that I grind and stack research bureau points on, or stack resets on. So I enjoy it. It's a very more passive playing experience in terms of destroyer. You're not using your guns so much, but these guns you definitely want to use because they're very hard hitting. Granted, even though they have a longer reload time. So we're doing good with this ship. Still, yeah, we're doing okay. Fletcher, tier 9 American destroyer, 57 battles played, 54.39% win rate. We have above average planes, or not, personal rating, average damage, or above average damage. We are below average in terms of, or I guess this is just average. Average in terms of kills, and average in terms of planes destroyed. So actually this, I could say, I could do better in Fletcher. I really like the gearing. But there's more we can do with this. I would really like to actually increase this number, how many ships I kill, and improve my average damage, because with 57 battles played, 40,000 damage for average is not so great, but I'm taking on enemy destroyers, things like that, but I think we can get these numbers higher. Again, it was the first destroyer line that I grinded in the game, so I mean, you can see Mahan here, Fletcher here, and actually Benson's number 15. New Mexico, number 12, tier 6 American battleship, 33 battles played, 54.55% win rate. You have 12 guns in total on the New Mexico. Yeah, 3, 6, 9, 12. So we have above average personal rating, great in terms of damage, but average in terms of how many ships we destroy, and above average in terms of how many planes we destroy. New Mexico is, I mean, the guns hit hard. You do a good job in wrecking broadside targets. You're very slow battleship, so very slow tier 6 battleship. I was playing Repulse the other day, British battleship battlecruiser with speed boost and brisk, and I just flew past New Mexico, who was, as try as he might, was going by like 22, 23 knots, where I'm going like 37 knots in Repulse. So New Mexico, she's still very deadly at tier 6. She's not to be trifled with, but if you get bottom tier to New Mexico, going up against something like North Carolina even, just puts you to shame. And when I play Massachusetts at tier 8 and I see New Mexico, I'm kind of drooling because they're very slow, and I'm going to do a lot of penetration damage with my armor piercing shells, and they're very fun targets to farm with your secondary battery. Yeah, so, but yeah, but decent overall. Worcester, this was, I think, the second cruiser line I grinded. I think I grinded Des Moines first, if I'm not mistaken, then the Worcester, the light cruiser American line. So only 22 battles played in Worcester, but 54.55% win rate, above average personal rating, average, above average in terms of damage caused, average enemy destruction, destroying enemy ships' frags, and then great stats in terms of planes killed. So actually I think if I play Worcester every once in a while still, but I like to get some of these numbers up. I think I can definitely get the personal rating, destructions, and the damage up. I play IFHE Worcester. I don't play for fires on Worcester, and I really like that because I just get more raw damage for those guns. Number 14 is Fiji, tier 7 British light cruiser. 20 battles played, 55% win rates, 1,744 personal rating, so above average. Great level in terms of damage, great in terms of destructions of enemy ship, and great in terms of plane damage. So we're doing some good things here with this line. So, and that's only with 20 battles played in Fiji. So it looks like we're figuring out this line. That's good to see. And finally, Benson. It is the tier 8 American destroyer. So you can see Mahan at tier 7, Benson tier 8, and Fletcher at tier 9. So you can see that with 72 battles played, we have 55.56% win rate. We have above average personal rating, average, above average, slightly above average destruction or average damage. My brain's spacing right now. Long day at work. And then below average in terms of destructions of enemy ships, and then below average in terms of planes destroyed. So again, first line grinded in the game, so it's expected that when you are looking at your ships and trying to understand your weaknesses or your stats, you're probably going to see a lot of the lines you grinded when you first started playing the game. So don't be surprised if you see that in here. I mean, Ranger, I played a lot more when I was a beginner player. And then wasn't too long, then I grinded for the Gnizum now, or the Bismarck GK line, before they replaced the ship with Poison. And then I think after I grinded the American Destroyer line, I grinded the Japanese Destroyer line. So that's one of the reasons why you're seeing Yugumo in here too, even though I grind it frequently. And then, Benson. So, not surprising to see, but there's some work with some ships I need to do here. For example, just to show you, if I drop down to 15 battles, you can see there's some ships that I do need to seriously do some work on. So even though I have few ships that are average, below average, know that if we drop down the number of battles, there's some ships here that definitely need some work. I really like Vermont, so you can see we have even great damage, but very poor run rates, but that's only with 17 battles played. So some more work with these ships I need to play. I don't know if I'll ever be able to get Frederick the Grossa up. I would certainly hope so. Maybe I have to play in a division to help with this run rate. But it's just you play, the FDG is like, you can't push early, you just get focused, you're such a large target, and you just got to play that at... you play for the last half of the battle. That's when you're able to brawl and push. You can't do it the first half of the battle, otherwise it's just an absolute disaster. In my attempts of trying to figure out that ship. So I'm gonna wrap up the video because I think we've talked enough at length now on this subject. So if you liked today's video, give it a thumbs up. If you did not, give it a thumbs down. Subscribe if you do want to see more. If you subscribe, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. And we'll catch you next time. Take care.